Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sideliners Week 2. We realized kind of last week that we got a little bit too excited and didn't formally introduce ourselves before getting into it. So I guess I'll start. My name is Brad Siegel. I'm one of the co-hosts of this amazing podcast, joined by my friends Benjamin Solis and Jonathan Miles.
Hello, everybody. Glad that you've come back for week 2. And to my left, John, care to introduce?
Let's just get right into it. College football recap.
All right.
College football recap.
I
Let's
mean,
go.
what was fun this week? What did we have?
Wisconsin put a beat down on Michigan.
Yeah.
Other than that, not a whole lot. It was
Not a big week.
Florida's offense looks great against
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Hey, Arkansas is
I love Arkansas.
the comeback story of the year.
I love Arkansas. Yeah. But pretty lame week overall.
Yeah.
I would say some of the takeaways. I don't know if we know that any Big Ten teams are legit yet. I think this week is a big week for some of those teams to prove themselves, like Indiana.
Besides Ohio State.
I mean, beating a good Indiana team would show something, but
Yeah.
I mean, if Indiana can pull off the upset of their entire history, or
That's
if
true.
Northwestern can take down Wisconsin, I think some of these teams need to show that they're legit through, 4 or 5 games now?
Yeah, and I think OSU, they have kind of already proved themselves with their talent, and I mean, look at that team and compare it to their team from last year that was so good. They barely lost anyone.
I guess, but who has Ohio State played so far?
Absolutely nobody.
I mean, we thought Penn State, but Penn State, wow.
Penn State has just been going downhill.
Not good at all.
That was
So I think another takeaway is that the Pac-12 is terrible. I actually sat down and watched, I was up late Saturday night, and so I was like, I'll just watch the Oregon State-Washington game, and it was bad. It was really bad.
Like,
Everyone looked
bad on a technical level, or just...
Everyone looked bad. Like, on one of the plays, Washington, snapped the ball, 10 yards over the punter's head, and somehow no one recovered it, and Oregon State got a touchdown out of it. Now, that was bad. It was not good at all.
I think
and USC keeps winning by the slimmest of margins, which I guess is exciting for them, but they don't look that great either. They barely beat Arizona State and Arizona.
I think Arizona State and Arizona are just going to be how they've been years past and just be that, 25 through 20 kind of team.
Middle of the pack.
Yeah, middle of the pack.
Nothing special.
Yeah.
But I guess the most exciting thing was Kyle Trask, I think, for the 6th straight game.
Oh, yeah.
Having 4 touchdowns. Is it time to put him in our Heisman top?
I called it last week. I put him in front of Trevor Lawrence in my Heisman, and while my list hasn't changed, I will say that Trask is making a run at it. I don't think he'll win it, but if he keeps on having a season like this, his stock will continue to rise.
Right. Well, his stats are great, but the problem is he doesn't play for an Alabama or a Clemson or an Ohio State.
And if we're thinking about stats, Zach Wilson is still higher up.
I would say they're about on the same level stat-wise.
Really?
But it just kind of depends. BYU plays, I want to say, tomorrow night? I can't really remember. Oh, no, they play North Alabama. They're favored by 50 this week. Never mind. They don't have anything exciting. I just saw they were favored by a lot. Yeah.
But does that give Trask a better story coming from a team that's not from in Alabama or
maybe
Clemson?
if they beat Alabama on the SEC championship and go to the playoff, sure.
Wouldn't that be a story?
Yeah, it would. Well, even though it wasn't the most exciting week of college football, it was a pretty exciting week in the NFL, and I think we need to address the elephant in the room for the NFL. I mean, Kyler
is one of if not the most exciting players this season.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was awesome.
And I think this definitely reaffirms DeAndre Hopkins, best receiver in the league.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, are you serious? Mossing three people.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Mossing 3 people. Hail Mary.
Jeff Janis did that on the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary against the Cardinals. So are you saying Jeff Janis is the best receiver in the league at that time?
We're not going to compare. I think that relies more on Aaron Rodgers than it does.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking
Aaron
about,
Rodgers just does that.
I was thinking about on his Hail Marys though, I feel like on the Hail Mary this week, Hopkins is getting all the credit. But I feel like on Aaron Rodgers, like you don't even know who the receivers were that caught it because Rodgers gets all the credit for those.
Tight end Rodgers.
Yeah, but you don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Like, but I feel like Huff, and while it was a great catch, it just seems like, Kyler scrambling to his left had to throw across his body kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it was
50
a throw.
yards.
It was a throw into triple coverage, and it was almost a play that if they didn't, didn't catch that, it could have wasted the rest of the game when they had 2 plays. He could have just scanned that out.
Left. It would have had a second
okay.
left.
But it did waste a lot of time. Is what I'm
like. That play should not have happened, and it did happen. And now the question is, so with Seahawks and Cardinals tonight, the battle of the 2 giants, are the Cardinals for real?
Well, I think we're gonna find out. The Seahawks, I've got to be frustrated after playing. They put up 13 points against a good Rams defense, but DK Metcalf had 2 catches. Tyler Lockett had good stats, but not anything like spectacular.
I mean, Chris Carson was out, so that running game was just still not the same.
Yeah, but they performed well with DJ Dallas in weeks past.
That's true.
Their passing attack, the 2-headed monster was kind of shut down.
I think that when you look at the Buffalo game, you're just thinking, it's a shootout, we're going to get back to it. And then the Rams, where they're just completely stopped. And, that defense, again, with the Buffalo game, like, how are they going to hold up against a good Arizona offense?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Russell Wilson having his struggles, 7 interceptions in the last 4 games. I mean, if they lose tonight, does that... and Russell Wilson doesn't have a good game, does that put in jeopardy their playoff hopes?
I mean, because they don't get to play the Cardinals.
I would say that and Russell Wilson's MVP hopes, if I'm being honest.
I saw. Yeah, I definitely saw something talking about that.
It's a very, I guess, Cardinals defense is pretty average, I'd say, middle of the pack, but their offense is amazing. And this game's going to be about what quarterback can just outscore the other.
On the flip side, we get a good Russell Wilson game. Helps his MVP case, but if Kyler wins, does he become the front runner?
I would say at this point it's still Mahomes.
Yeah,
the Chiefs are 8-1. It kind of seems like a quiet 8-1. Like they're not.
Yeah,
no one's really talking about the Chiefs, but they're just dominant.
Their conference Raiders are the
Raiders are good. The Chargers are decent. They have a bad record, but they're like the best.
Personally, I just think the Chargers are the embodiment of pain. Losing games that they should not.
Yeah. I know all about that.
Special teams is, again...
Yeah.
Well, they've gone to overtime and really close late games with Tampa Bay, New Orleans, a bunch of different...
Did y'all see Herbert's haircut?
Can we talk about that?
He went from ROTY to ROTC.
I saw Sid from Toy Story.
Oh, that's good.
That is very good.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to talk about the Bears real quick.
The Bears.
That Monday night game was really
awful.
Terrible.
That was awful.
Dalvin Cook didn't even play well.
The Bears have a decent record, and
it's decent in terms of the whole year, but they started like 5-1.
They started 5-1.
That's what I'm trying to say. And Nick Foles
getting injured.
That injury is big, and I don't know what they're going to be able to do. Can they hold on to that record is what I'm thinking.
When is Trubisky is supposed to come back soon-ish, right? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if that would help them at all.
And then, of course, in the division, you have the Packers leading, but then you have Detroit coming back from the dead. And Minnesota.
They almost choked against Washington, though.
But, the football team just can't be trusted.
No.
And, the football team?
Yes, and cannot be trusted. The NFC East,
the Eagles are trash.
I wouldn't have brought up the NFC East if the Eagles had taken care of business and beaten the Giants last week and not sent the division into total chaos and having a 3-win team leading the division at week 10 of the season. But it looks like that's what we're gonna get. I'm not sure who the best team in the division is. It's kind of hard to say. But the Eagles have a really hard end of the year schedule, and so do the Giants.
So do the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's really just going to be, who's going to take advantage and win one of those out-of-division games? Can the Giants beat the Bengals or the Browns? Can the Eagles do that?
Well, so as a Giants fan, do you see progression in Daniel Jones?
Oh, absolutely. He's turned the ball over. There have been 3 games in his career where he hasn't turned the ball over, and 2 of those 3 are the last 2 weeks. And we just fired our offensive line coach, which I guess is a good thing because he did get into a fight with our head coach. But
I mean,
the offensive line sucks anyway.
That's always been a struggle for the Giants.
Right,
in
but
recent years.
this year development, and the head coach has been kind of going with the offensive line guys like lately, and there's been some improvement. We've been able to run the ball without Saquon Barkley. We've gotten more creative with our play calling. Jason Garrett's actually been pretty good. And it's fun to win. I used to think of it, it's kind of a holiday when the Giants win because it only happens like 3 or 4 times a year.
I
2
guess
weeks in a row, that's unheard of.
As an insight, as a Cowboys fan, so we play the Vikings this week, and Dalvin Cook, eats souls for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's an interesting way to put it, but yeah.
But if the Cowboys can play beyond their talent level, we may put up a good fight, but it's hard to say. I mean, there's still possibility that Dalton comes back this week, or if we keep on rolling with Garrett Gilbert.
Good.
Garrett Gilbert
Why
probably had.
I just don't want to let Minnesota make the playoffs this year.
We will see. Speaking of Minnesota, I wanted to talk about kind of which players we think will boom or bust in fantasy, or just in anything this week. And I think the Minnesota receiver, Justin Jefferson, will boom. They are playing the Cowboys defense, which, not the best defense. And they played last week on Monday Night Football, as we mentioned, the Bears, who have a good defense. It's obviously the best part of their team. And he's put up a solid 8 catches for 135 yards, which is, 21 points with no touchdowns. Yeah.
And
it's a solid day against the
the
Bears defense.
In a really good draft of wide receivers, you have, of course, Jefferson and then T. Higgins of the Bengals, and then CeeDee Lamb, Chase Claypool coming out of nowhere. And then, of course, Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy still also in that pack.
I wouldn't say Henry Ruggs. He's really busted this year. A lot of people thought he was going to be a lot better than he has.
Well, he's a speed guy. I think Jeudy was more highly rated going into the season.
Well, yeah, of course. But he was supposed to put up big numbers, and he just hasn't done that.
Yeah.
So does that fall on the Raiders being a more running oriented team?
Oh, yes.
I don't think so. I think Aguilar has put up the best numbers of his career. I think Darren Waller has put up the best numbers of his career.
Darren Waller has looked really good this year. That is true.
Derek Carr's having a pretty good year for Derek Carr.
Leading the Raiders to a pretty respectable record.
Are they 6-3?
I think 5-3 or 6-3.
There are 9 6-3 teams. I'm not sure all of them are, but there's a ton of 6-3 teams. Some of them kind of trending downwards, and some of them trending upwards. But yeah,
I think for my boomer bust players, like I said, if the Cowboys can play beyond their talent ability, with Dalvin Cook busting last week, maybe he busts this week. And
it's a bold prediction.
It is a bold prediction, and I will be eating my words if he runs for 250 yards this week.
He did that against me.
Well, to be fair, he takes no prisoners.
Yeah.
And then my boom players kind of go hand in hand. I think the Ravens can get back on track this week. They've been faltering, but Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, bust this week, or boom this week. Sorry, against a pretty suspect Titans defense as of late.
Suspect Titans defense. You were just praising them too last week, John, for getting that scoop and score against the Bears.
Yeah.
But the Bears offense is not that much to deal with anyway.
That's true. I'm gonna say it. Steelers defense has looked good all year, but I think they're gonna bust this week without a quarterback. And I don't think the problem is that they'll be able to stop the team and everything. I think it's really they'll just be against the ball so much because of how much the Steelers are going to turn it over, I think. And they're going to be on the field a lot. I also have Kenyon Drake booming against the Seahawks because that Seahawks defense is very, very bad. And
at a historically bad rate.
Right, but he has to split carries with Edmonds.
Yeah.
Kyler runs the ball quite a bit.
Yeah, but he's a boomer bust running back, and
he's had one good game. He had that 140 point. No, he had one really good game.
He had a 40 and
a 30. That's the Cowboys.
He had a 40 and a 30, and those were both against terrible defenses, and he's playing a terrible defense.
But he got hurt, and last week, coming back from his injury, he did not quite have the same production.
Yeah.
But I think my bust this week, it's a pretty safe pick. I'm going with Mike Evans, who hasn't put up the gaudy numbers this year, But, I mean, he's a solid receiver.
As one would hope with Tom Brady leading.
Him and Godwin, really. But they have to go against the same Rams defense that really held the Seahawks receivers last week. And I would classify Mike Evans as the top receiver on the Bucs, maybe. And
it depends on who you ask. If you look at, of course, going downfield and making the catch, you go with Evans. But if you're looking at volume, you maybe look at Godwin. Mm-hmm. But as you were saying, Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, either way, you're going to have to line up against Jalen Ramsey.
It is Tom Brady. He likes to hit a lot of different people. So Evans definitely has
Antonio Brown.
That's true. He came back.
And then even with Ronald Jones having to go up against the Aaron Donald.
Scotty Miller.
He gets
catches.
Yeah. So, some predictions for this week. I mean, it is Thursday. It's got a pretty big weekend in college and in the NFL. I think the big thing this upcoming week in college is that some of the Big Ten teams, as I said, need to prove themselves. We've got, again, Indiana's biggest game in their school history, arguably, going up at Ohio State. Ohio State's favored by 3 touchdowns, which honestly isn't that outlandish. I could totally see it happening. Maybe
but
more.
I do think it is disrespectful to just kind of cast aside Indiana's success this year against.
Well, I mean, we'll see if they put up a game. I don't think they will.
I mean, we've seen when they played against Penn State, we've seen that they can win in clutch moments.
Indiana?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but Penn State's terrible. Penn State's 0-4.
Yeah, but
it's the worst shape they've been in a long time.
But I'm just that was week 1. They've shown that they can win in clutch moments, and if they're gonna beat that Ohio State team, it's gotta be last second, something crazy.
It's have to be something weird.
So,
So I think Indiana, this is a big game for them. If they want to prove to be a top team in college football, this is the game to do it. Mm-hmm. They've been given a perfect opportunity.
And even if they keep it close, it'll put more respect.
It's really just they need to make it a game. They need to not get blown out, be overwhelmed by Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and hold it together, really. Mm-hmm. I also think this is an important week for Wisconsin. They've played 2 games. They've looked really good in both of them, but they're going on the road to Evanston to play Northwestern this week.
Which is a surprisingly scary place to go on the road.
I don't know if it's scary, but they are undefeated. They are ranked as best they've been in a few years. It seems like Wisconsin might have a little bit to handle, but I think they also get it done. Graham Mertz hopefully has another good game. He has been.
I've always been an advocate for the underdog, so I'll be going Northwestern.
A lot of Jews there.
Oh, really?
Yes, big Jew school.
Hey, the more you know.
The more you know. But yeah, I don't know. I think any of these teams, it would be great to prove their legitimacy this week. All 4 of them, really. But yeah, hopefully we see some fun upsets, not the boring monotony that was last week.
Speaking of boring monotony, Clemson versus FSU.
You don't think they're on upset watch at all?
Absolutely not.
Close.
I agree, but I mean,
Trevor Lawrence.
It's in Tallahassee. Trevor Lawrence's first game back. Florida State did beat North Carolina.
I think.
I mean, was North Carolina that good?
Is the over-under for Trevor Lawrence 5 touchdowns this week?
That's a pretty good over. Maybe 4, but that's pretty good.
So is this your one Clemson loss this year? You think this is going to be it?
No, I do not.
Because I thought it was going to be Boston College.
They already have their one Clemson loss.
That's true, but that's a little different. I
don't know. And the other big matchup this week is Bedlam. You've got Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I honestly think Oklahoma wins in a blowout. I don't think it's going to be close at all. Oklahoma State has the talent. I guess they have the coaching, but they have not seemed to put together much.
I think after that Texas loss, they're gonna come back with something, and they need this.
I said Oklahoma was gonna run the table after their second loss, and they have proved me right so far.
This game is very important for Oklahoma State and Oklahoma.
For everyone in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think OSU is gonna win this, and I think they're gonna come back after that Texas game where they didn't play how they wanted to play, I don't think. Especially their defense.
So that's all great and exciting. But this week seems to be more NFL focused. I think that's what we're all excited about. Tonight we have...
Very excited.
It seems like by far the best Thursday night game of the year.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some terrible matchups this year, but this one might be pretty good. The over-under is 57. I think they were saying it's the highest for a Thursday night or for any primetime game in a really long time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, 2 obviously very exciting teams to watch. I think I'm going to take the Cardinals just because they're trending up and the Seahawks are trending down. We'll just see how it plays out. I'm super excited to watch. I cannot wait.
I also have the Cardinals tonight. I just think that, not only for a fantasy gain, but just watching Kyler Murray play, just tearing apart the competition, especially against my Cowboys. I think that if he wins tonight, it will be a very close race between him and Mahomes for MVP. But even if... Don't give me that. Do not give me that look.
Mahomes is winning MVP if it's not Russ. Keep going if you want.
But, that's if Russ wins. Because, if the Seahawks lose, they're down. They've lost both games to the Cardinals. And they're third in the division right now. I mean, does this jeopardize the playoff hopes? I would assume so, taking the Cardinals.
But it seems like, there's a really good chance. You've got 3 NFC West playoff teams. The Rams have looked great. I think it's totally possible.
Yeah.
That's another... Or do you want to give your take about this game tonight first?
I can't choose, honestly.
It's
a 50% chance that Russell Wilson or that Seahawks defense steps up and can stop Kyler Murray or outscore Kyler Murray. But it's a 50% chance that the Cardinals just do what they did last week and the weeks before and just win.
Or we could have another overtime classic like the last matchup. But
True.
Another matchup, speaking of the NFC West, the Rams go take on the Buccaneers in Tampa this week. The Rams defense has looked great as of late, but the Buccaneers did put up 48 points on the Panthers last week, so it kind of sets up this good matchup on that side of the ball, and that'll be fun to watch. I'm taking the Rams. I think their defense has been dominant. I think the Bucs have not been able to show up consistently and string together wins, and the Rams have just done enough to win games.
I'm going to deviate here. I did have the Rams initially, but I think that maybe this is the stride in the season where Brady figures it out with the team and is able to just put up absurd offensive numbers and is able to pull one out against a pretty good Rams defense.
Yeah. I completely agree. I don't think the Rams can hold up against that offense. They came back from that terrible loss against the Saints last week. Antonio Brown joining them is actually big for him.
Did you see that story that he punched a security camera? That is...
He needs to... I don't even know. He needs to do something.
He's crazy.
He is crazy. And I think a nice matchup of 6-3 teams this week. Titans going to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Big game. The Ravens need a comeback game, honestly. They did face some tough conditions Sunday night. And
Patriots won't quit.
Yeah. They're scrappy. They're well coached. They're not fun to play, really.
Yeah.
But I think the Ravens get it done. I think, like you said, this is Lamar's comeback game, maybe. I would love for that to happen as is an owner of Lamar in fantasy. But I think maybe this is where they start their string of wins, maybe ride it into the playoffs. We'll see what happens.
If Lamar can, give us that MVP glance from last year in this game and just turn around the season, I think that the Ravens, along with this win, can string off a few more and just kind of
assert dominance. They've got an easy schedule. They get to play the Giants.
If I'm going to be honest, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Maybe.
Titans. All the Titans have had going for them is their running offense.
They looked so stagnant in the second half of the Colts. They didn't score a single point.
Yeah, but their defense was playing terrible as well. They
didn't look good at all.
Their defense has been very, very bad the last 3 or 4 games.
Not as I guess, evident as the Bears. They've definitely dropped off. The Titans started the year undefeated. They were one of the last teams to lose, and they've kind of fallen off to 6-3, I guess.
Yeah.
But sets up some good matchups this week. I think we're all really excited.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for tuning into week 2. If you're still here, let us know anything you'd like for us to talk about next week. And thanks to everyone for the great publicity this past week.
Yes, it was very appreciated. Yeah. Also, be sure to subscribe so you're able to know when we put these out. Hopefully, we continue with this Thursday streak.
Yeah.
And hit the bell so you can get a notification.
Post notifications.
Whenever you get.
According to YouTube statistics, only 19% of the people that viewed our last video subscribed. And you don't want to be one of those 81% of people that did not subscribe, because that's not cool.
You know what they say?
What do they say?
When you subscribe, you're just cooler than everyone.
I have heard that.
Honestly, I believe that.
I remember it. Absolutely. So, seriously, though, thank you, everyone. lot of support. We all really appreciate it, and we hope to continue. So see you next week.
Signing off.